As I say, it's Wednesday, December 18th, 2019. And yeah, the Pro and Con show. So the intent is trying to encourage everybody to be better citizens. So seek out the truth. Ferret. That's a nice word. Ferret out the truth. The who, the what, the where, and the when. Just the facts. And then all the opinion and stuff, leave that to somebody else, or form your own opinion based on the facts. How about that for an idea? So normally would go through and maybe look at 5 different websites. These are, I don't call them news streams. I call them information streams because they claim to be news, but they're often very biased, and that's the thing that we have to guard against as good citizens here, is to try to ferret out the truth amongst all the bias that's out there. And what's caused it in the end is all these people are trying to make money off of news. Okay, in the good old days, when I was a young man, news was a responsibility of the networks, and the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, forced them to provide a certain amount of public programming, and part of that was news. And nobody made any attempt to make money on news because it was a losing proposition. And so they just presented the news, and that's one of the guys like Walter Cronkite. He used to provide the news, and so you'd watch the news and get the facts, the who, the what, the where, and the when. And there was none of this, well, let's throw it to the panel here. And this is, so if you watch Fox News or CNN or look on the internet, everyone's full of opinion, because the amount of news is the factual kind of stuff, the who, the what, the where, and the when. It doesn't take that long to cover that for the news stories, if you will, that are sizable enough that people care. Of course, it would take forever to cover all the news that's going on. Every single person that slipped and fell and bruised their elbow, or every single car accident or whatever on a daily basis. But the vast majority of us, we care in the sense that, we don't want people to have accidents or want people to fall and hurt their elbows. But on the whole, the fact that Jim did that today in Toledo, Ohio, it's, again, generically, hope Jim's okay, but, that stuff just kind of happens all the time. So it's the bigger picture things, the things that affect us all, that we are, all more involved with and interested in. So these are things like, major changes in policy with our government, or, major reports that influence our health or the health of the planet. So, climate change, or, some common thing in our environment that has now been identified as a carcinogen, and these kinds of things. Okay. So anyway, the big news today, Wednesday, December 18th, 2019, is that the House of Representatives officially, after several hours of debate where both political parties, very partisan political parties, not willing to even begin to listen to the opposing view, presented their very biased, very one-sided, horrific, exaggerated view on one side and the same on the other. And they, yelled and screamed at each other for whatever it was, 6 or 8 hours on the House floor. And then they voted along partisan lines. And there was roughly 30 more votes-ish, because there's roughly 30 more Democrats than Republicans in the House of Representatives these days. So there you go. And now the big question is, when, because the thing about the Constitution, and especially some of these events that don't occur very often, there's not a whole lot of guidance about, specifics. So they made the vote, and now they've got to transfer it over to the Senate for the trial, and the Senate has to basically write its own rules on how to conduct the trial. And so now the House of Representatives, they're trying to have influence on the Senate, about, hey, at least conduct this as a fair trial. Like, try to have at least some semblance of an open mind about the outcome. And, and then, who's going to present the information and stuff like that. And right now, it's looking like, because the two major leaders of the Republicans, which is the majority party in the Senate, they have made it very clear that they don't have any interest at all in doing anything other than putting this impeachment to aside as quickly as possible. So for up to them, the thing would be passed to the Senate. There would be some minutes of discussion about the articles of impeachment, and then a vote taken to acquit the president, and we're done. We're moving on, and that's their intent. And they even, I think it appears like for some reason they have control over who even presents the information to the Senate, and they're trying to select very partisan Republicans, some of the staunchest supporters of the president, to present the information that the House of Representatives put together. So, yeah, so that's impeachment. There you go. So obviously, I would think actually, now that it's actually, and the amazing thing is impeachment, or the threat of impeachment, has occurred 3 times in my lifetime. And it had only happened once in the history of the country before then. And again, it all speaks to the partisan politics and how we need to fix it. And the fundamental way to fix it is the citizen statesman, and to follow the analog to jury duty. Only we have now candidate duty. All those kinds of things. And again, if you look at my old videos or future ones, you'll learn all about that. So anyway, in the short term, we're stuck with what we have, and it's far less than satisfying, I think, for anybody that's paying any attention. I'm sure there's some swath of Americans that just are like, I don't care, doesn't affect me. I'm still got my job. Okay. But in any case, the next show we're going to talk about an interesting topic to me. I found an article where they had polled 170 historians. So these are people that nationwide, they've written books, they've done their doctorate theses and stuff on American history, and specifically the role of the president in our society and in our government. And they did these polls about 2 years, the latest one, about 2 years into the Trump administration. And they have these rankings of all the presidents over time per the viewpoints of these historians. And we're going to look at those charts in the next show. So until then, this is the Pro and Con Show. Today is Wednesday, December 18th, 2019. I'm your host, Michael James Ott. And until the next show, bye for now.